Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're tackling something that's, well, it's a little bit unnerving, I guess, but super fascinating, too. We're going to be talking about all those environmental toxins that can impact our bodies.
Yeah, it's definitely something that affects every single one of us.
We've got a ton of research and notes to go through, but by the end, I think you'll have a much better idea of how these toxins actually make their way into our bodies, how our bodies try to fight back, and what happens when things get a little out of whack.
It's a pretty complex system, but we'll break it down.
Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
All right. So we hear about these toxins all the time, but what are we really talking about here?
Well, essentially, we're talking about all those synthetic chemical compounds out there in the world, and our bodies just haven't evolved to process them very well.
So, like, our bodies don't recognize them.
Exactly. Some of them, like BPA, which you find in a lot of plastics, can even mimic our hormones, which can disrupt things in our bodies.
BPA mimicking estrogen? That's a bit scary. And it's not like we can just avoid all synthetic stuff, right?
Right.
So how do they actually get into our bodies in the first place?
Well, there are three main ways: inhalation, ingestion, and absorption. We breathe in polluted air, we consume contaminated food and water, and our skin even absorbs chemicals.
So it's not just what we're eating, it's what we're breathing, what we're touching, what we're putting on our bodies.
Exactly. And we think of our skin as a barrier, but it's actually pretty permeable. So a lot of things can pass through and get right into our bloodstream.
Makes you rethink your skincare routine a little bit.
Right.
But surely our bodies aren't totally helpless. There must be some kind of defense system going on.
Oh, yeah. Our bodies are amazing. We have this incredibly intricate detoxification system working all the time to neutralize and eliminate harmful substances. It's like a multi-layered filter with organs like the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, the skin, even our gut, all working together.
Wow, so like a cleaning crew working 24/7.
You got it.
You mentioned the liver. What's so special about the liver in this process?
The liver is like the star of the show when it comes to detox. It has these really cool pathways, often called phase 1 and phase 2, that break down toxins into less harmful compounds that can be safely excreted.
So what's the difference between phase 1 and phase 2?
Okay, so in phase 1, the liver uses enzymes to change the structure of toxins. This makes them more water-soluble so they can be removed more easily. It's like prepping the toxins for disposal.
Ah, okay, so it's like getting them ready to be kicked out.
Exactly. Then in phase 2, the liver attaches other molecules to the toxins and basically tags them for removal. These tagged toxins are then eliminated through urine or bile.
Wow, it really is like an intricate little factory in there.
It really is.
But if we're constantly being exposed to toxins, does the system ever get overloaded?
That's the problem. As amazing as the system is,
Mhm.
it can only handle so much. It's like a filter that can get clogged if you push too much through it. And when we reach that overload point, that's when toxins can start to build up.
I'm guessing that buildup isn't good. So where do these toxins go if they can't be eliminated right away?
Well, a lot of toxins are lipophilic, meaning they like to hang out in fat. So they tend to accumulate in our fatty tissues and can stay there for quite a while.
Okay, that makes sense. This also makes me wonder, though, don't our bodies create toxins naturally too? Even if we lived a perfectly clean life, wouldn't our bodies produce some waste?
You're right. We actually have two sources of garbage to deal with: external toxins from the environment, but also those internal waste products that are a natural part of our body's processes.
So it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff out there, it's about making sure our bodies can deal with the internal load as well.
Precisely. And if our bodies are overloaded from either source,
Hmm.
it's like our internal waste management system gets backed up, that's when we can start seeing problems.
Okay, now I'm getting a little nervous. Let's talk about those problems. What happens when things really start to go wrong? What are the consequences of this toxic overload?
Well, the effects can be pretty widespread. We're talking about things like hormonal imbalances, reproductive issues, metabolic disorders, autoimmune conditions, even an increased risk of certain cancers.
Wow, it's like a whole domino effect.
Yeah.
No system is safe. Can you give us some concrete examples of how this plays out?
Sure. Let's look at hormonal imbalances for a second. We know that BPA, that common toxin found in plastics, can actually mimic estrogen in the body.
Right, we talked about that a little earlier.
And this can really mess with our hormone balance. It can contribute to conditions like endometriosis, PCOS, even infertility.
So something as simple as using a plastic water bottle could have these huge impacts on our hormones. That's kind of crazy to think about.
It really is.
What about the connection between toxins and those chronic diseases you mentioned, like metabolic disorders?
There's a lot of research coming out now that shows that exposure to certain environmental toxins, things like pesticides and heavy metals, can interfere with our metabolism, and that can lead to things like insulin resistance, weight gain, and even type 2 diabetes.
It's like this invisible web connecting these toxins to so many health problems. Is there anything we can do to protect ourselves? Or are we just doomed?
Well, we can't completely eliminate our exposure, but we can definitely take steps to minimize it and to support our body's natural defenses.
Okay, that's a little more reassuring. I think that's what our listeners want to know. What can we actually do to reduce our toxic burden?
One of the most basic things you can do is to start paying attention to the products you use every day. Read the labels, do a little research on the ingredients, and try to choose products that are free of harmful chemicals.
So we got to become like toxin detectives, scrutinizing everything.
Pretty much. Pay attention to your cleaning products,
Hmm.
personal care items, cosmetics, even the materials used in your furniture.
Wow, okay.
Look for things that are free of phthalates, parabens, sulfates, synthetic fragrances. Those are some of the big offenders.
I'm already thinking of all the stuff I need to replace in my house.
It's a process.
What about the food we eat? There's so much talk about pesticides, and herbicides. Is organic food the only answer?
Choosing organic is definitely a great way to reduce your exposure to pesticides. But I get it, it can be expensive. If you're on a budget, the Environmental Working Group puts out a dirty dozen list every year.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It highlights the produce with the highest pesticide levels, so you can prioritize buying those organic.
Smart. Okay, so we've got cleaning products, personal care food. What else?
Water quality is another big one. Get yourself a good water filter that can remove chlorine, heavy metals, other contaminants. You might be surprised at what's in your tap water.
I never thought about that.
It's important. And don't forget about lifestyle changes. Getting enough sleep, managing stress, regular exercise can all support your body's detox pathways.
So it's not just about avoiding toxins, it's about making our bodies more resilient.
Exactly. Minimize exposure and maximize your body's ability to bounce back.
It's like a two-pronged attack. But, you mentioned earlier that everyone's detoxification capacity is different. How much do our genes play into this?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It makes sense that our genes would affect how well our bodies can handle these toxins. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely. It's definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. There's this whole field called toxicogenomics that looks at how variations in our genes can make us more or less susceptible to toxins and how efficiently we can detoxify. Like some people have gene variations that make their phase 1 detoxification pathways kind of sluggish, so they might be more sensitive to certain chemicals.
That's interesting. Makes me wonder if there are personalized ways to detox based on our genes. Is that something that's being explored?
Oh, definitely. It's a hot area of research right now. We're seeing more and more companies offering genetic testing that can tell you about your detoxification capacity. And that information can be really helpful for tailoring your lifestyle choices and even finding specific supplements that can help. That's so cool. It feels like the future of health is getting really personalized. So we've talked a lot about reducing exposure, but what about actively supporting those detoxification pathways? Are there things we can do to give our bodies a boost?
For sure. One of the simplest but most powerful tools is something you're doing right now: breathing.
Wait, breathing. I thought that's how toxins get in.
It is, but deep conscious breathing can also be a fantastic way to help your body get rid of toxins. It helps with circulation, it oxygenates the blood, which helps your liver and kidneys do their jobs. Plus, it's a great stress reliever, and we know that chronic stress can actually mess with detoxification.
Okay, so mindful breathing is a good one. What else can we do?
Well, remember how we talked about those tagged toxins needing to exit the body? Staying hydrated is super important for flushing those toxins out through your kidneys. So make sure you're drinking enough water.
Water, the ultimate cleanser. Makes sense. What about other ways to help our bodies eliminate those unwanted substances?
Don't forget about sweat. Regular exercise, especially things that make you sweat, can help eliminate toxins through your skin.
So hit the sauna or go for a run. I can get behind that. What about food? Any specific foods that can support detoxification?
Absolutely. Focus on a diet that's full of fruits, vegetables, whole grains. Those foods are packed with antioxidants, which protect your cells from damage and fiber, which is really good for your gut health. And your gut actually plays a surprisingly big role in detoxification.
Right, because a healthy gut helps us process that internal waste more effectively.
Exactly. A healthy gut microbiome is key for overall detoxification. Some studies even suggest that certain probiotics can actually help break down specific toxins in the gut. It's really fascinating stuff.
So it's not about those crazy detox diets or juice cleanses. It's about giving our bodies the nutrients they need to function at their best.
Exactly. It's a holistic approach. Reduce exposure, support your natural detox systems, and make healthy lifestyle choices.
I'm feeling really inspired to make some changes. It's amazing how much we've covered today, from how toxins get into our bodies to practical tips for reducing our exposure and supporting our natural defenses.
It's been a great deep dive.
Mm.
And remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about the impact of toxins, the better choices you can make to protect your health.
And that's what we're all about, giving you the knowledge and insights to live a healthier, more vibrant life. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Remember, even small changes can add up over time. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.